In this tutorial, I will show you how to work with the form and how to work with the get, post and request super globals. So let's start with a practical example. I have a HTML form that I will create now. For example, this is the form. I am just writing PHP script, simple PHP, simple HTML code I am going to write here. So first, for example, I am going to take a div, or simply I am going to put something. Okay, div is okay. So here is name, and another div here I am going to give input text, for example like this. Here is name. Another one after that I am going to take, that is email, and here I am going to take it, that is email. And after that I am going to put a submit button, input type equal to submit, or you can also use the button type equal to submit. There is no problem at all, or you can also use the input type equal to submit. So here I am going to give here submit, and here a name equal to, for example, form 1. Okay, so this is a basic form I create, and I am going to output that form here. You see that this is a form, name, email and submit. I am going to do one thing, that is I am going to make it in normal zoom out. Okay, this is the normal screen that is showing here. So this is basically a form I have just now created, and what actually I will do here, I will write something in this form, and here I am going to make the autocomplete of so okay. Now here is name, email, and then I will click on submit. If I submit a form, what will happen? Where will it go? We can submit the form into the same page or into a different page. For example, I am going to create another PHP file. One is result.php. Okay, so this is a blank file. When I will put something using this form, for example, here is a name you see. So I will submit this form. When this form will be submitted, you see that there is a method in the form submit method. It can be get or post. If I give here the method equal to get, what will happen? I will take all the data and put it into the result page. Okay, so when the form will be submitted, it will go to the result.php, for example. So form action means where you will send all the form data. Now let's check. If I give here my name and my email, for example this one, if I click on submit, you will see that the form has been taken to the result.php. I did not actually put any code here, so it is showing blank here. You see that the whole content is blank, but the important thing is in the top section you will see that the name equal to rfin and email equal to @gmail.com. @ is converted by some character, and here and form equal to submit. So all the parameters where I use the parameter name that are coming into the top section, this name equal to name. But what will happen if I send something like password? So password, here type equal to password, that means no one is going to see your password. Name equal to password. If I do that, what will happen? If I go back and refresh the form, now I am going to give something here, password 1234. If I click to submit it, you see that the password is also passing here 1234. So when you will send the sensitive information, this is actually a risk, because the get method is showing everything into the URL. So password is also showing in the URL. So that is a security vulnerability, so become careful about it. When you will work with the secure data, you should not use get like this. The information here in the top, you see that the name equal to RFN. What is this name? This name that is showing here is actually this name, this one. And the email, this email, it is actually the email showing here, this one. And the value I am going to pass, that is actually this form field, which value I am going to pass, that is going to show here, right? So this is actually the logic. Now I show everything in the URL, but how I can show that into the result page using the PHP? So write a block PHP, and here we will use the super global variable get in order to get the data. And the format is, here I will give the name of the variable. So if I echo this variable now in this page, so it is actually the get. So refresh it. I am going to give here my main name, enter. Email is empty because I did not give anything in email password, but I give the information name here. This one is showing in this page because I use the get variable. So similarly I can take the show the email, show the password, etc., right? So password I am going to remove it. I go to remove it. So for example, name and email, so I am going to refresh it again. So name is this one, email is this one, and click on submit. You see that the name and email is showing in this page. How I can show that? That is using the get variable. Similarly, I can show it using the post variable. If I send something here using the method post, that variable I will get here using the post super global variable, that is post. What is the benefit of post? Post's benefit is, refresh. Now you will see that there will be no data in the URL. For example, I am going to pass here Moshul RFN. This is my email. I am going to click on submit. You see that in the URL there is no data, but in this page I get the data that I have passed using the form. So this is the benefit of the using the post, so that no sensitive information showing in the URL. The get or post, whatever you use here in the method post or get, you can receive those data using another one, that is request. So it can be request also. So if you use the request, if I resubmit, you see that the same data is showing here. That means it is working. But if you send using the post, if you want to use the get here, that is wrong. You will have to use here post or request, and if you send data using the method get, then you will capture it by using get or request. But request can be used in both cases. So this is actually the form how we can send the data from one page to another page. Here remember that I can show the data in the single page also. Instead of using the result.php, here I can just keep it blank, and I can show in the top or here. For example, I want to show the data here in this place. So what I can do, I am going here, you see that name and email. Now if I submit the form, the data will be shown in the top or in the bottom or some place like in the same form. So here I am going to put like this, PHP start and end, and then the result I am going to copy it and paste it here. But if I do this, there is a problem. First time when no data is submitted, if you submit it, you will see that there are two warnings, because when the program first time runs, it try to output this one, but actually there is no value here because the form is not submitted yet. But if I submit the form, then there will be no warning. For example, this one, if I click on submit, now the warning has gone and the data is showing here. But how I can fix it? Just write something. If there is a isSet function, this is very important. isSet means if there is existence of any variable, it will check that. So in this case, actually request name has no existence here. So I will copy this and paste it here. What I can do another one, that is in the form you see that there is a name form1. So I can use here the if isSet then request of what form1, or here I use the post, so you can also use here the post. Okay, same thing. So here I am going to post it here. That means if there is any isSet value in the form1, then only these two values will be shown, otherwise not. So here if I am going to refresh it, sorry, the first time I am going to refresh it, you said see that there is actually no error, no warning now, because it is checking that if there is any value here, it is seeing that there is no value here, so it is just going to be skipped. Then when I will put something here, then after form submit, there is value in the request. So if I click here, you see that the values are coming here. So this is the very basic rule of a form, and I hope you have understood. Here I am going to show you another thing. I am going to make it off. For example, I am going to the result.php page. So when I submit something here in that page, I want to show not this information. For example, I want to show a success message that your form is submitted successfully, something like that. So if someone wants to submit this form, for example this one, he gives something here and here submit, a success message will be shown here. How I can do that? In order to do that, here what I can do, that is after going the result, the values here, I will use a header location. Remember, the header location is actually used to redirect into a page. That means if I do not do anything, just header location, so after the submission you will not understand what is going to be happen. If I put something here, click on submit, you see that this page comes again. Actually something happened here. When I submitted it, it went to result.php, but it actually cannot stay here because I again call him that go to index.php page. So when it is coming result.php, it is seeing this code, and so it is going to index.php again. So header location is actually to redirect yourself, to redirect you, or to redirect a visitor to a particular page. We use the header location system. Here you will have to give the page name. In order to do that, what I have done, but I will do one thing, that is when I will redirect the value to the index page again, here I will show a message. So here what message I will show, that is index.php page, it will go question question message, or question, yes, message is okay, question message equal to 1. If I do that, what will happen? This question mark means when you will redirect to a page, you can pass a variable in the same time. That means this message variable I can easily get in this page using the request. When you will pass something using anchor tag or using the header location, then it will be redirected in this variable using a variable, and that you can take to other page as the request. So here I can easily call it by this. First time it will not show anything. For example, request. So request of message. So if is set request of message, that means when the value will be passed from here, now there is value in the message. But when normally I run this first time, the index.php, there is nothing in the message variable. So here I am going to check if there is anything in the request message variable, then only show the message. For example, the message I will show here, that is message, right? So let's check. I am going to refresh it. So I pass something, submit. You see that the one is showing here. Now what I can do, I can check here if the request message, I can call here an if condition is equal to 1. If I pass 1, then echo successful. Okay, now let's check. I am going to refresh. I am going to show something. You see that in the top bar in the URL it is showing question message equal to 1, and as the value of the message request message variable 1, so it is showing that successful. So you can easily show this. You can also do one thing, that is the name. For example, I want the name should be Arifin. So the request of name, here I can call here something. If the request of name equal to Arifin, then it will be successful. That means it will be redirected by this. But if not, that means if else it will send the data and the message variable I will pass 0 to the message. Or here instead of 1 or 0 you can also send something like success, and here error. In this way you can also send the data. So here what will happen, here I will have to check success. So here if the request message equal to success, then it is successful. Else mean you can also call again else if request message equal to error, or just else, then it will be error. Okay, that means I am going to expect the error first. Okay, so the same thing I will have to call here. By default error is showing. I am going to refresh it. So you see that this one. Okay, if I put something except Arifin, for example this one, something, you will see that there is an error, and here in the URL you see message equal to error. But if I put something that is Arifin, exactly this one, then you see that this is successful because the name is Arifin, so it is showing you the success message. So in this way you can send success message, and in this way you can easily handle the form. I am going now to show you another thing, that is, for example, I am going to create another page, index1.php. For example, from the index page, not actually form, from the index page, what I am going to do, I am going to pass some data. For example, go to index1 page. So I want to go to the index1 page. What I will normally do, index1.php, and in index1 page I can easily show something, echo okay. Now if I run this page, you see that go to index1 page. If I click here, it will take you to the index1.php page. It is showing okay. But using the anchor, what we did in the result page using the header, we can do the same thing using the anchor tag. In the anchor tag we can go to a particular page taking one variable. What variable? Any variable I can pass to another page, just like the header. Here I can pass here the name equal to Arifin. Remember that we can pass multiple values. So question will be first mark, and here you will give first value. The variable is name, value is Arifin. and I can send here multiple values, and age equal to 30. So this thing I pass to the index 1 page. So if you want to show that variable here, so here I will have to call the request, because the anchor data I will always have to pick using the request. You cannot use here get or post, you must have to use the request. So here the name is one variable, age is another variable. So here I can call name and here I can call age. Simple. So refresh. If I click here, you see that it is taking to this page. URL is here, this is name and this is the value. So in this way we can just move from one page to another page in PHP. I am going to show you another practical example. Index 1 I am going to close, result I am going to close. For example, I am going to show you a form. In order to show you, I am going to do this thing, PHP, okay. For example, I am going to create a form. I am going to copy this form here and here. I want to add two numbers, okay. So here I am going to get input from user, enter number 1, and another one is enter number 2. I will give here num1, this is the variable, and here is num2, another variable. Then submit the form. So it will go to the same page. So I am going to remove it, and post method is okay. What I will do, I will actually I am going to add these two numbers, okay, to add these two. So here what I will do, I am going to copy this one and paste it here. Here I will show the result. I am going to use the isSet variable here like this. So if isSet of post of what is form1, this is the form1 variable. Then what I have in my hand, I have the number 1 and number 2 in my hand. So num1 is the first variable. So I can do the sum equal to request of num1, and these two I will add here, right, plus num2, because the number 1 variable I can get using the request, and number 2 variable I can get here using the number 2 request, and this one after the addition I put into the sum, and here I can easily show the result. Now go here, refresh. For example, I will add 434 and 222, then click on submit. You see that the result is this one. So in this way you can easily do anything here. You know that I had a pyramid problem, and I call here a pyramid, so I am going to call the pyramid code here. For example, here I am going to show the pyramid data, okay. Another example I am going to show you here. For example, I want to give enter number, enter how many lines, like this, enter line number. So here the variable I can call line number, only one will be here. I give here the input line number, and that will come here, and here for example this one like this. So here instead of 4, what I will do, I will call here the request variable that comes from here, that is line number. So the pyramid will be shown up to that line. So let's check it, refresh it. How many line? 5 line I want to show using the pyramid. You see that the 5 comes. Now I want to show the 9. You see that 1 to 9 lines come. You give here 7. You see that 1 to 7 lines come. So in this way you can make a form completely dynamic, and in the same time you can use loop or array or anything with that.